Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I'm going to take you on some bizarre twists and turns. I've talked a lot on this channel over time that when you wake up and do 2 to 3 videos about one company and one digital asset, or at least that's your focus, and you do that for 2 or 3 years, your mind has a way of just being able to just grab up things and remember things and put things together that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And today is one of those days. So strap in. For those of you, even those of you that have been around for a while, strap in and enjoy the ride, because I'm going to show you some connections that have always I just never could quite make sense of it. Well, maybe I have, but I'm just going to show them to you. Okay, so here we go. First, I wanted to show you this. This is David Schwartz from yesterday. Today, I introduced my vision for adding Federated sidechains to the XRP ledger, which means a lot of things, but essentially that anyone who wants to can run a sidechain on XRPL. The Federated is software that acts as a bridge between at least 2 instances of XRP ledger, XRPL mainnet, one or more sidechains. The concept would allow each sidechain to have its own ledger and transactions, as well as federation system that allows XRP and issued tokens, Bitcoin, fiat, anything really, to move from one chain to another. Doing so could, in theory, enable developers to implement features like smart contract functionality off of the XRPL mainnet, meaning less risk of harming the network while maintaining its existing feature set, faster deployment, and access to real assets. And then he says a number of things would need to happen. Anyway, I'm not going to go any further into that. I wanted to give you some thoughts from a couple of people that matter. Monica Long, she's with Ripple. XRP Ledger Federated sidechains will enable new capabilities like smart contracts and DeFi use cases. I'm excited to hear developer feedback on Joel Katz's vision and your ideas for what you'd build using sidechains. What's interesting about this to me is I've always felt like maybe Flare had a closer relationship to Ripple than maybe they do, but this looks like something completely separate from Flare. And I don't know if it's a complement or a competitor to Flare, but we will of course find out over time. Now, and then Wrath of Kahneman, this is a real smart guy. He says this could be a big moment. Thankfully, the greatest feature is that it wouldn't affect the core XRPL much. If implemented, governments, banks, etc., could run all manner of private networks that interface with XRPL, transacting with XRP. Must read. If coded, it would also be an important moment in XRPL history. It would require the current validators to vote on amendments, including a starter UNL for sidechain federating nodes. If implemented, it could open up lots of new possibilities to create private sidechains and closed networks or open privacy networks, etc. Okay, I'll just stop there. Well, let me see what he says here. B of A wouldn't want one obvious wallet showing all their holdings, like BitHump. Well, that's a good point. Okay, now moving along. Jeremy Hogan had tweeted this out yesterday. The SEC wants to argue that 75 Actions lawsuit, if brought against crypto companies the last 5 to 6 years, somehow put Ripple on notice that XRP was a security. Very misleading. The Telegram, Kick, Paragon cases all involved an ICO in which sales were made to create the ledger. In other words, if the SEC today brought a suit against Ethereum, they could be considered to be on notice because they did do an ICO, which Ripple did not do, just as a side note. Then he goes on, Ripple never held an ICO because XRP Ledger was already in existence when Ripple was formed. So prior lawsuits against companies that held ICOs do not tend to show that Ripple had fair notice that what it was doing was illegal. Ripple is making an important distinction here. Okay. Now, I covered Jeremy Hogan's video the other day, but I liked the title of this article that Ian Northing provided. And I like this clip, and I don't know if I had covered exactly what he said here, but I want to show it to you. XRP supply shock could be coming if Ripple decides to settle SEC lawsuit, says a crypto legal expert. And this article is about his video, okay? But I just wanted to read you this part. Hogan also posted that a settlement would likely include an agreement that would limit the sale of XRP to private sales for companies and clients, shrinking the supply of XRP on the market. This would in effect limit or slow the flow of XRP into the marketplace. Sales to Section D or corporate purchasers cannot then be put in a public exchange for 6 months, maybe up to a year. A settlement containing this term would essentially bottleneck the flow of XRP into the market for years to come, thus giving you and I something that has a lot of value. I like the sound of that. All right, moving along. And then this is from John Deaton, which I really think is interesting. Yesterday, for those of you that don't know, Jay Clayton wrote, I showed you the Wall Street Journal op-ed that he did, but he wrote it with another guy. And John Deaton, this is his law firm website, they're retweeting a tweet from the guy that wrote it with Jay Clayton, Brent McIntosh. And he says, question 1 of 2, why didn't you and Jay Clayton disclose any financial interest you have in cryptocurrencies at the end of this article? Question 2, were you or Jay Clayton paid for this piece? And if so, by whom? Feel free to answer here. Now, I was curious about who this guy is. And when I saw what popped up, I pretty much knew, because this guy is a fellow at this, which is one of those organizations I don't even say the name of on my channel. This is one of these 3-letter deals I don't talk about. But this right here is one of the handful, as in 1 to 5 of organizations that run this entire world, folks. And that tells me a lot that guy's writing this. Okay, Michael at VAL 5 links. Crypto markets tumble after miners unload 5,000 Bitcoin in 1 week. Okay, I don't know what all the reason is behind this. Just thought that was a pretty interesting piece, and here's the tweet from that. All right, so who knows all the ins and outs of, I don't pay too much attention to the ups and downs, especially when Bitcoin's leading the way, because I've told you all the things wrong with Bitcoin, and just because a lot of the public is just now discovering those things, we're still being, the market is still being led to an extent by Bitcoin. Bitcoin has absolutely nothing to do with XRP. It's not even in XRP's league, not even in the same stratosphere. So all these ups and downs that affect XRP from what you see going on that are ultimately tied to what's going on with Bitcoin, it's really not relevant. The only way it's relevant is that it makes your stomach hurt because XRP gets drugged down for now with Bitcoin. It won't be that way as this thing goes forward. PhDJ sent me this. Now, this is something I meant to cover the other day and forgot to, but here it is. Harry Dent, he's like an economist, really smart guy. Listen to what he says. He said it out of nowhere.
Now I look at Ripple, looks like it might have more to go. It's a whole different animal now, being the probably ultimate coin.
The ultimate coin. This is not a crypto guy, folks. Where did he get that? Economist who uses demographics to forecast major economic uptrends. HarryDent.com. Very famous guy. All right, moving along. Okay, now this is where I want you to pay attention. If you don't know about the history of this space and what's going on, strap in, because I'm about to teach you. And a lot of these things will come together in your mind, and you will believe that all the world's a stage like I do once you see them. Here we go. This is from Dave at Dave6971. Zero Hedge. They found a few million untraceable Bitcoin faster than the 35 trillion in accounting adjustments at the Pentagon. And this lady replied, she said they managed to find it rather quickly, as well as decided that the hackers were based in Russia the same week it happened. I don't trust that our government didn't do it to themselves. Makes you wonder how many attacks on America was just America. Now, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just telling you, I'm going to take you down a road, folks. What they're talking about is, remember when the pipeline in the U.S. was attacked by hackers and they asked for cryptocurrency? This almost feels like they're trying to create a narrative so that they can go after cryptocurrencies, this bad thing. I don't know if that's what this is, but I'm going to show you a lot more here in a few seconds. So keep watching. This is the FBI director, and he's talking about it right here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, the FBI successfully seized criminal proceeds from a Bitcoin wallet that DarkSide ransomware actors used to collect a cyber ransom payment from a victim. Since last...
All right.
Good afternoon.
Okay, now here we go. This is what I said. I tweeted out another article about that, and I said, how genius would it be for a government to create Bitcoin, make it look like a libertarian movement, spend the next 10 years convincing the world that it was untrackable, a fraud, and would be used by drug dealers and terrorists, and all with the idea of getting the money to come in. And then once the dirty money's in, they're caught. They're in a web, okay? That would be one genius move. Now, Dave here, 6971, replies to my tweet. They want the public to believe that the hackers were sophisticated enough to shut down the U.S. pipeline. But by the way, I'm not weighing in on all this. You know, I think that he's got a lot of smoke here, but I'm not weighing in on whether, I'm not trying to go down that conspiracy road with this video. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm going down a different one. But at the very same time, so dumb, sent it to a U.S. centralized crypto exchange that requires an ID and a background check like KYC AML to store that amount of Bitcoin in it. This is the equivalent of terrorists getting paid a ransom and then depositing it into their checking account at the biggest public bank. This tells us that people, all right, so you see where he's going with that. Now, I want to make a few other points. First, this. It was always trackable. But for 8 years, the media said it was for money laundering and terrorists, almost like someone wanted the bad guys to put it into crypto. And I'll tell you right now, folks, I believe just about all of crypto was government created, especially Bitcoin and especially some of the privacy coins. I believe that they wanted to design all of this stuff so that at some point down the road, they could pull off these kinds of things. They wanted, if you can just imagine all of the bad guys that you could draw in. Anyway, that's just part of it. I believe they also did it because this was a way to have the people to willingly come into this new digital system instead of kicking and screaming, create a libertarian movement. I was at the Bitcoin conference this week, create a libertarian movement that is rabid. Because then you get them to come willingly instead of by force or just making them do it. Now, while I was going through this train of thought today, this came across. XRP vet Diamonds to the Sky sends me this. It's a Raoul Paul tweet. And he says, if you want to know how the FBI can find Bitcoin so easily, watch this incredible story of the Silk Road bust. So I started watching it and immediately realized who this lady was. Watch this.
Had the login credentials.
They actually became an administrator.
They could have.
For the Silk Road.
They certainly could have. They had the tools to do that and the know-how.
Yep.
And what ended up happening was in this 21,000 Bitcoins goes missing overnight. DPR looks into it and says, hey, it's Curtis Green's pins and passwords that have allowed this to all be drained. And Curtis Green, therefore, must have committed this theft. And actually, I want to have a hit put out on him.
To kill Curtis Green.
To kill Curtis Green.
Oh, my.
So he paid about $80,000 in 2 installments of $40,000. Interestingly, not in Bitcoin, just in a pure old-fashioned wire. And guess who he turned to do the hit?
Who?
The undercover federal agent who had befriended DPR.
Yes.
He had a code name named Knob.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to go through all of that, but it's a fascinating video if you want to go watch it. What I want to focus on is who this lady is. Her name is Catherine Hahn. And let's take a look. Here you go. The Silk Road case will make this is from 2015. Silk Road case will make headlines again this week with Ross Ulbricht's sentencing. One of the players in the still unfolding saga is Assistant U.S. Attorney Catherine Hahn, who heads the digital currency initiatives for Northern California at the U.S. Department of Justice. She'll speak here. All right, and then it goes, The lead prosecutor in the case is Assistant U.S. Attorney Catherine Hahn of the Northern District of California, according to the complaint. All right? Well, what difference does that make? Well, to me, the difference it makes is that just by pure coincidence, Hahn's experience isn't limited to the Bitcoin blockchain either. She also led the inquiry against Ripple Labs, which ended in a settlement of $700,000 fine on the firm. This is also the same settlement that gave Ripple the designation of a virtual currency. So let's look. There's Ripple's general counsel at the time, Norman Reed. And as you go up, you will see her name signature on the document. I've shown you this before. There's Catherine Hahn. So, same woman, no, and I'm going to take you through. We've got to remember what Silk Road is, don't we? But first, well, let me go through that just briefly. Silk Road was run by Ross Ulbricht, okay? The trouble came, what they were doing is they were selling drugs, firearms, you name it, through this Silk Road, and they were making the transactions using digital currencies like Bitcoin, and a lot of that stuff was going through Mt. Gox, which was created by who? Jed McCaleb, and later sold to Mark Karpalus, okay? So the same woman who prosecuted that case is the same woman who, while she's going, the same year, folks, let's go back. This Consensus 2015, this is going on in May of 2015. Then she settles in 2015 with Ripple on this, and they get a virtual currency designation, if I can get that to come up. All right, so same month, actually, same month. They do this, the same month that she's going after the Silk Road. Now, this is Catherine Hahn on stage with Brad Garlinghouse, May 30th, 2018. This is Catherine Hahn's LinkedIn page. She's a general partner at Andreessen Horowitz, one of the first investors in Ripple, right here. She's also a teacher or a professor, and she's a lecturer at Stanford University, 2017 to present. Who does she teach with? Well, turns out that she teaches with Susan Athey, who's on Ripple's board. She's a member of the board of directors of Coinbase. All right? Then you have this. This is Mark Karpalus from Silk Road. He's the former CEO of Mt. Gox. I've always felt like this guy was a patsy, kind of like they called the shooter in the JFK thing a patsy. I've always felt like this guy, because he's always looked kind of, I'll use the word, he looks kind of like a dumbass. And if you see the pictures, there's pictures of him swinging a sword and all kinds of stuff. What's interesting about this is I've never been able to peg down, supposedly Mt. Gox was started in Japan, but I've never been able to peg down anything where Jed McCaleb ever was anywhere close to Japan. And I've also never been able to find where this guy was in France. I've seen some things that make inferences that he moved to Japan and this type of thing. But there's only one person in this saga who I've ever known who lives in Japan, and that is Roger Ver, folks. And look at this down here. So he buys the world's first Bitcoin exchange from Jed McCaleb in 2011. Jed McCaleb goes from there and goes off to, I guess, San Francisco from Japan, ? To start Ripple, and then later to start Stellar. And if you go down here, it says, so he bought it from this guy, from Jed McCaleb, and then it says, in 2011, Mt. Gox was hacked, causing the exchange to go offline for several days. Notable Bitcoin enthusiasts Roger Ver and Jesse Powell worked with Karpalus to help the site recover. Well, that's crazy, because here's the other thing. And this isn't just me reading things. I met Roger Ver in Singapore. Roger Ver told me to my face that that Roger Ver was one of the first guys at Ripple and one of the largest holders of XRP. Told me to his face. You can also look online. Who else? Jesse Powell, who later creates Kraken, was also one of the first guys at Ripple. Go look it up. Google. So the two guys, so Jed McCaleb leaves, the law never even looks at him, doesn't touch him. You can't find anything saying they even touch him. Then he leaves to go start Ripple, and these two guys follow him after they help the guy who eventually gets prosecuted by Catherine Hahn, who later has this document against Ripple where Ripple becomes a virtual currency. These are all coincidences that I just wanted to show you today. I want to remind you that you can get 6 months free at iTrustCapital if you go, if you do an in-kind transfer. That means you don't sell what you have at your current place, and you just roll it to iTrustCapital, create an IRA with them, and roll it there without selling anything. They'll give you 6 months free. These guys are a sponsor of mine. I'm also a customer of theirs. They're in the description of all my videos, links. I got videos where I interviewed the COO, and you can find out all about it. But this is the ultimate way, in my opinion, to get tax advantages, either tax deferral or completely tax-free transactions, and eventually taking it out if you have like a Roth. So check it out. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that the history of crypto is fascinating.